Hello, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reading 3 Hot Priest romances, and I am very excited about it. Now, I recently did a bit of a rewatch of Fleabag, and was that good for my heart or my head? No, not really, but it did kind of pique my interest in Hot Priest romances, and I knew that they were out there, I knew that they existed, but I didn't realize like how many of them actually were out there. So I selected 3, and I'm excited to read them with you. Let's see if the Hot Priest thing like carries over into romance. Like, let's see if romance authors can do it right. And also, I'd love to just compare and contrast the various like Hot Priest romances there are out there. So the 3 I picked I think are probably the most popular. They're the ones that were easiest to find. First up, we have Priest by Sierra Simone. I should say I don't know anything about any of these Hot Priest romances going into them, and I kind of want it to be that way. This is a book that I'm sure is going to be exceedingly steamy because Sierra Simone really knows how to do it. I'm also going to be reading Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin. I feel like Pam Godwin is a really talented author at writing these like complex emotional scenarios and kind of making her books a little bit dark. I think Sierra Simone also makes her books dark, but Pam Godwin's like a whole other beast. Not that she's a beast, but like her books are a beast. And then a lighthearted pick, we have Hot Under His Collar by Andy J. Christopher. Excited to read this one. I have it on audio, so I'll probably read this one first. Curious to see how this one kind of stacks up against like the darker or like grittier, sexier Hot Priest romances, but maybe that one's really fun. I've read kind of mixed reviews on that one, but I'm excited to give it a go. I'm gonna take you along with me over the next like day and a half as I read these books. It's gonna be chill. I don't think it's gonna be particularly lifestyle-y. I'm gonna try to keep it like short and simple with my updates, so you can just get the info on like which of these baddies you need to pick up yourself. So we're off to a Hot Priest start. This one, I don't know about, I'll be honest with you. I think it's supposed to be this like fun rom-com-esque Hot Priest romance, and I just don't know that that's like the proper execution for this particular trope unless you are Miss Fleabag lady. I cannot remember the name of the actress and creator of that show, but this book is about our main characters Patrick and Sasha. Sasha grew up Catholic. She doesn't believe in God. She really has no interest in religion, but she ends up meeting Patrick through a friend, I think. Like, she still has ties to the Catholic Church even though she's not actually Catholic anymore. I think her mom and her sisters are Catholic and she doesn't have a good relationship with them, which is like part of the book, I guess. She like has some insecurities, I guess, surrounding the fact that her mom doesn't really like her and her sisters don't really like her either, which is kind of sad. And then we have Patrick, who is a priest, and he kind of went into the profession after his mother passed away. Did it because he thought that it would be something that like would bring him closer to his mom in a sense, but he doesn't have like a strong calling, I guess, towards being a priest. He likes his job, he thinks it's fun, he likes that he can do good things with this job, but he's having to kind of grapple with the fact that this might not be a forever thing for him, and he's also kind of dealing with the fact that he has an attraction towards Sasha. I think the thing that I'm like kind of on the fence about with this book is that Sasha seems to have an infatuation with Patrick, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing for a heroine to be like so into the guy, but it seems like her attraction and her infatuation with him is literally purely based on the fact that he is a priest and it's forbidden. Like, it's said multiple times, like, oh, would I really like him if he, was just a regular guy? And then sometimes she'll say things like, oh, I mean, if he was just a regular guy, like, I would have already slept with him by now or something like that. So it's like she can't really decide why she likes him or why she is attracted to him. We do have some attempts made, I would say, at getting us to understand why these two would like each other. I think Patrick, if anything, has a more compelling reason to like our heroine. She seems to be a pretty good person. She helps him put on a bake sale for the church. Seems to be someone who is fairly underestimated and I guess not taken advantage of by her family, but she doesn't have like the greatest self-esteem, but he like sees something in her and I find that compelling. He also like thinks she's hot and has like some like one-handed fun by himself thinking about her. So like he's attracted to her, but he also like I think has more reasons to like her. And maybe I'm just like thinking that too because this book's narrated by a dude, and so I'm like more in the head of the guy than I am with Sasha. But that being said, I am enjoying it. I wish there were like a little bit more here. I don't know. It's tough because it's like not very funny, so it's not like very rom-com-y to me, but it's also not going like to extreme lengths to, I guess, romanticize Hot Priest thing. It seems like it's just kind of like a middle of the road book. I kind of agree with one of my Goodreads friends who said this was kind of boring. It's not terrible. Like, I'm having a fine time listening to it. I'm not like bored, but I do think that the other two are going to be even more exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this one up, and then we can talk a little bit about Lessons in Sin, which is what I'm going to be starting next. So I finished Hot Under His Collar. It's going to be a 3-star read for me. This wasn't the worst thing that I've ever read, and I feel like I understood what our author was trying to do. I just feel like the execution was lacking for me. I pointed it out in the last clip, but it's something that kept bothering me the more that I read. But our heroine keeps pointing out that she doesn't know why she's in love with this man, and she doesn't know what she would necessarily do if he became became not a priest, like if their relationship could sustain into the future, or if there could be a relationship into the future. And it didn't seem like conjecture, as if like, oh, like I don't know what's gonna happen if he quits his job, like I just love him so much. It was more like, am I just infatuated with this man because he's a priest? And like that's not compelling to me, nor is it sexy. There were attempts made to like backpedal on that a little bit, but like why include that at all unless you are going to instantly rebut that, show that there's a reason for these two to be together. And like I guess they worked together on some charity events, but I just still really didn't understand it. And it's not like a hot priest romance has to be deeply emotional or anything, but it was clear that our author really wanted to go in that direction, and it just didn't totally land for me. So I don't know, it was fine. It read like any other contemporary romance. It was kind of bland. What's not bland is Lessons in Sin, though. This book is absolutely completely different. It is reminding me a lot of the movie Wild Child with Emma Roberts. If you're unfamiliar with it, you need to check it out because it's a really fun young adult coming of age rom-com-y movie. That and Angus Thongs were like very formative to me growing up. But this one is about our main character Tinsley, and she is dropped off at this all-girls private school, kind of like a reform school for girls. Her mom is kind of a bitch, which we learn pretty quickly, and we also learn that Tinsley is just trying to live her life, right? We find that she wants to have some sexual experiences. Basically, she is sent to this school because she was giving a Burger King employee head. Her mom thought that was unbecoming of someone who is like an heiress or whatever. She is the youngest child. I think she has like a bunch of older brothers, and she always felt like she was living in their shadow, and so she felt like she wanted to act out, rebel, and, you know, have some sexy fun times. And she has a lot of personality and a lot of mouth on her. She definitely backtalks a lot. She is going to meet her match in Father Magnus. Magnus is, I think, 40. He decided to give up his like playboy billionaire lifestyle at 31 to buy this school and to, I guess, revitalize it after it was kind of going through a hard time. And he has met his match in Tinsley because he likes, I guess, breaking people down, and she needs to be broken down. What's interesting to me is that our author makes it really clear that our hero does not prey on any of the girls under his care, which, you know, is really nice. Thank you so much for, I guess, including that. Tinsley's 18, which I also think is important to point out as well. This is going to be an age gap romance, clearly, and obviously like your comfort level about that will vary. I know some people are like totally cool with age gaps, some people hate it. I'm sort of like middle of the road. It's not really bothering me here, but he points out that he has always been attracted to older women, and that he is constantly having to fight off the advances of the teenage girls that he is working with. Tinsley doesn't really seem to have any sort of attraction towards him. I mean, she thinks he's hot, but she is not interested in necessarily like coming onto him and kind of like seducing her way out of punishment. She instead is trying to like the bull by the horns and just like really, I guess, fight back all she can. We're gonna see the repercussions of that, I'm sure. I think there's gonna be some corporal punishment that probably turns sexy. I'm intrigued. I think the writing is pretty good. It is compelling for sure, and I will say I think it could maybe make some people like kind of cringe, given Tinsley talks about like TikTok, and there's like a couple of like pop culture references in here, not a ton, but I think it could be a little bit like annoying, the slang, I guess, and stuff. For some reason I thought this book was like kind of old, but I mean, if it references TikTok, I guess it can't be that old. I'm feeling very much still in my Fleabag era, so I'm ready to see like where the story takes us. It goes in a direction that I like. I don't know. It's tough because again, it is an age gap, and like I'm not totally like off put by it, but I'm also like unsure of how this is gonna go. I don't know. And I think there's like more books in the series too, which I'm like curious about. Like, is it more about the same couple? Is it like a couple? I don't know. I guess I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna get to the 50% mark tonight, I think, and then I'll update you tomorrow. So I'm making this like a very even vlog, and I'm proud of that. I'll finish the other half of this book tomorrow, and then I will also read Priest. So, you know, we're just having a smutty good time. This is honestly exactly how I need to start out my weeks. Maybe not with hot priest romances, but like smut. 3 smut books in 2 days, I think is really just how I want to be living my life going forward. New day, new outfit, new thoughts and feelings. I am 50% into Lessons in Sin. I'm genuinely impressed with this book. I think whether or not the age gap works for you, like, will determine whether or not you're going to like this book, but I am surprised at how this book is like turning, I guess, tropes or things in my head that I thought were going to happen on their head. I don't really want to spoil too much of this book, but what I think is compelling is that our heroine, I thought she was going to really try her best to, you know, get kicked out of the school, which she is definitely constantly trying to do. I thought she would try to seduce the hero to do that, and we're finding that that's not the case, and we're also finding so much character growth on the part of our heroine. There's a situation where she could have like not taken advantage of the hero. I mean, he's older obviously, but she seems to be in charge of the situation. She gets to say like, no, you know what, I don't want to be in charge of making you stray from your profession. I'm not gonna do this. I just thought that was really powerful. I also think that like with an age gap dynamic, having the heroine like be in charge in that sense, I think is really, really cool. And I wasn't expecting that at all. I was definitely expecting this to go a certain way. Like she would keep trying to get to him, and then he would break, and then they would get together. And that has not been the case. They have not been together, the 50% mark, and there still hasn't really been any relationship progression. I think they might have kissed or something, but I'm like actually kind of into this. Like like I said, I think the writing is really incredible. Again, whether or not you like it, I think is going to depend on your sensibilities. And I mean, in general, like if you're gonna pick up a hot priest romance, are you expecting it to be tame? I don't think so. I am just very like impressed with the writing here. I think like the writing is really good. It makes me want to pick up more Pam Godwin. I have read some of her books, but it's been a while since I've picked up anything of hers. I tend to, I would say, stay away from her books because I don't love dark romance typically, but she doesn't only write like incredibly dark romance. I think I DNF'd Ocean-y one. It's got like a ship on it and a girl like falling in the ocean. Everyone seems to like that one. I don't know why I can't think of Sea of Ruin. Wow, there we go. That one was way too dark for me. I just couldn't do it. But I do think she has some other ones that like could maybe be more my speed. I also don't really like a historical kind of vibe. Not that any of that really matters for our hot priest discussion, but our priest is hot. I just like it. The only complaint that I think I have, and I don't know if I already pointed this out, so sorry if I already have, but I don't know that I love the slang usage. At one point, our heroine calls the hero Miss Girl. I didn't love that personally, but I haven't really seen that kind of language usage since. Like it happened, I'd say like right at that 25% mark, and now it's kind of not as bad. But regardless, having a time. I don't know that I'm like in love with the story, but it is definitely well written and compelling, and I'm excited to finish it. And I'm also excited to start in on Priest by C.R. Simone, which I think is like the more universally loved of like the three of these romances. So I'll be excited to see if I love it as well. I'm in the literal, not proverbial closet. My cats are eating and it's really noisy, so I just figured we could be in here together. I did finish Lessons in Sin, and I wish that I had like better news for you. I wish that I could say that this was like incredible, but unfortunately it really fell off from like the 50% mark to the 100% mark. Okay, a lot of different things happened. Something I didn't necessarily mention, and it's like, do I want to spoil this? I'm gonna put a spoiler warning because I just feel like I need to. And you know what? I don't think it really spoils like what happens plot-wise in the book, but it's just things that I feel like are necessary to talk about. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a spoiler warning. If you're really that upset about it, I'm so sorry. There is a scene with some urine that happens like fairly early on in the book. It's kind of her punishment. She has like a full bladder whenever she is going to, I guess, get disciplined by this guy, and he knows that she needs to pee, and he, I guess, doesn't allow her to go to the bathroom, and so she pees on herself. You know, in and of itself gross. Willing to overlook it, kind of. I don't know what that says about me that I was willing to overlook that. Anyway, moving on. Then we have the period debacle, right? She's at a school dance, just dancing with an age-appropriate guy, and then she has her period. Heavy menstrual bleeding down her legs. Like something in Carrie, I don't know. And he is like actively into this, the hero of the book, the priest. I feel like hero is definitely a misnomer in this case. He's into it. He's fine with it. He takes care of her, which is sweet, whatever. And then like a week later, maybe? No, not even a week later. Literally the same day. He's like, she asks for a tampon, and he's like, okay, sure. Open up. I guess for every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. Science, right? If Christian Grey is going to withdraw Beyblade style a tampon from Anastasia, surely we need a hero in another romance novel to insert a tampon, right? To like cancel it out. He inserts a tampon in her, okay? All of this is just not really for me. Like it was gonna dock at a star or two, right? Because I'm sorry, it's just like not for me. It was silly, it was gross, it was just not for me. I don't know, it's just like the way that these two interacted. She was obviously such a mature and interesting heroine. Our hero, I feel like, was sadly very much lacking in personality and flavor. Oh, okay, you're gonna come with your little loudmouth in here. He, unfortunately, was lacking any sort of flavor and personality and character development. I think our heroine really does develop as a character from someone who is maybe not naive, but a little bit immature. She is a little bit immature at the beginning of the story, and then as time carries on, she becomes someone who knows what she wants out of life and is willing to kind of fight for that, and I like that. He, on the other hand, just becomes this sort of like domineering Christian Grey type, and I didn't really like it. Sorry to like like compare everything to 50 Shades. It's just like very much on my mind at the moment. I just really was not down with how he treated the heroine. I don't know, possessiveness is something that like either works for you or it doesn't, or like varying levels of it do. The possessiveness in this book didn't work for me. I don't feel like our hero really grew. He literally like reverts in some ways because he obviously has to give up being a priest and like becomes like the billionaire hero or whatever. And like good for her, I guess, on the one hand for like bagging a billionaire priest, but on the other hand, you deserve much better, girl. Everything just wrapped up too conveniently, and it was just so disappointing because I liked how all of these tropes were subverted at the beginning. I was like excited to see where this went, but just something about the 50% mark on just did not work for me. You know, I might blame it on the fact that I am considering writing my own book soon, and so I've been doing a lot of research into plot and into just writing craft in general. I'm not saying that I am an expert on it, but I have read quite a few romances in my day, certainly at this point. I just noticed that, you know, there were just some pieces missing here. I just really feel like had we had the hero be more developed and like go through some actual changes throughout the book, not from like being saved to depravity, because like to me that's like regression. It's not exactly like advancement of character. If we could have him with some good backstory, with some more concrete personality traits, with some character growth, and then we also would have had like maybe a more tender relationship, I think I would have liked this because it just didn't feel tender to me. And should a priest romance be tender, you might ask? You know, like I don't really have an answer for that. Just feel like it would have been most appropriate in this particular circumstance, especially given the age gap. I swear to God, Pepper, clearly my cats are inescapable, but before I go, I've actually gotten 25% into Priest by Sierra Simone. Also, did I say a star rating for this? I think I'm gonna give it like a 3-star, which is disappointing. I really thought this was going to be like a 4 or 5-star, but you know, we still have Sierra Simone to like potentially hook us up with something, okay? Honestly, like, I'm not even mad about it. Like, I'm kind of glad that I could share this like unhinged experience with you. Let's talk about Priest though, okay? So this book's about our main dude, Tyler. Tyler's one of my least favorite names. I'm so sorry if it's your name. It's just, it's got a certain connotation to it, right? Like a certain douchiness. And I think, you know, own that for sure. But anyway, our hero Tyler is a priest, clearly. And he became a priest, we find out very quickly, very early on in the story, because his sister, unfortunately, was abused by a priest. And I think this is his way of like atoning for that and or being a better priest to the people in his community. He's trying to kind of like transform this old church in Missouri, and he is going to be like the priest of a new generation or something like that, right? But this is all going to be quite challenging because Poppy comes into his life, and Poppy is a wanton woman, right? She is moving from Kansas City to the small town of Missouri. I think it's Weston, Missouri is what it's called. And she is not sure what she is seeking, but she's not entirely satisfied with her life. She feels like there's a missing piece there. And she also is a stripper. Oh my God, Pepper is a stripper, I believe, at, I don't know if it's a sex club. I think it might just be like this exclusive strip club. Anyway, she's a stripper. She's loving her life. She has strong sexual desires. She can't really carry out in her line of business because she's not, you know, going all the way with the men or whatever. She's also very attracted to this priest, and she gives confession to him, I guess, right? Like reconciliation? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I literally did a reconciliation. I'm Catholic, technically. She meets our dude Tyler because she goes to the Catholic Church. She's like seeking answers. She's seeking help. She wants some guidance in her life. Not that she feels like she's straying from the path of the Lord, but she's just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. Anyway, she goes to confession, does a few things, and then he's like, hey, do you want to just like casually chat in my office at some point? And she's like, yeah, let's do that. Casually chat, and it turns sexual because she's describing all of these things that these men are doing to her. He just can't take it anymore, right? And so they engage in some like sexual activity. Not like penetrative intercourse, I hate using that word, but none of that yet, but very steamy moments together. And I will say, of all three of these books, this one has the most sophisticated writing, the most level-headed, understandable characters, and I think that's working in this book's favor. It doesn't feel like over-the-top Jessica Kane, Alexa Riley, like smutty, just to titillate and tantalize. Like, it feels like there might be something deeper here. I mean, it's Sierra Simone, she writes really smutty things. I think this is going to be really smutty, but I do think there are attempts being made here at making this maybe a little something more, and even if it's not something more, like writing feels more normal, like we don't have people removing tampons. I did accidentally skip forward in the paperback version of this book and read something I think that happens with the anointing oil, so you know, not it's gonna go there, like it's gonna be naughty for sure, but it's not going to be certainly what it could be, right? Like it's, well, I don't know, I'm gonna withhold judgment. I haven't finished it, right? I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. I think you know what I'm gonna do? I'm live laughing and loving myself. I'm gonna finish this book and come back to you. I could give you a 50% update. If I have anything to say, I will. Most likely I won't, and I'll just let you know like which of these 3 priest romances you should pick up. Almost in love with her because they've had semi-penetrative intercourse. I don't hate this book. I'm actually having kind of a good time, but it's like, I take back what I said earlier. I feel like it might be too tame for me after reading Lessons in Sin. I just feel like too much to ask that it be like actually depraved, but also between like people of a similar age, and also have some like character development and like growth and interesting plot, because I think we're gonna get there with the sex. Like, we're not quite there yet. I think we're gonna get there, but I don't like care about either of these characters. Like, we know that our heroine worked at a club. We know that she has a guy who like, I guess like she dated at one point, and now he just like wants to have sex with her and calls her like a whore or whatever. I don't know. He's like married to someone and he's like a member of the club. I don't know. So like, we know that our priest has like competition, kind of like, we know there's like someone else. That's all we really know about her. Oh, and she like, I guess grew up wealthy or something. Like, we get her backstory, I guess, but like, she's not really finding religion. She's finding dick. Okay, let's be clear about that. And like, he is not really like, what does he love about her besides her red lipstick that I can't stop hearing about? I think my Fleabag era is officially over. I've done it. I finished Priest. It was fine. Okay, here's what I've learned. Here's what I've learned is that I think you should just skip Hot Under His Collar unless you are committed to that traditional publishing contemporary romance lifestyle. I think if you want something that is romantic and something that definitely focuses more on the romance side of things than the like overt sexualization like Lessons in Sin, I think that Priest would be a good start for you. I think Priest would be a good priestly romance to pick. It definitely deals with topics of like, you know, deciding what your path in life is and deciding if you want to give up your career, your calling, I guess, for love. I think it's compelling for sure. I don't know that I ever really grew to care about either of the characters, which is kind of sad. I think the issue that I had with this book, and the reason this isn't like a complete 5-star read for me, is not because the sex scenes were boring, which they definitely were. For me, the issue was really that I didn't really feel like Tyler and Poppy were that interesting. I liked that we got Tyler's point of view. I liked that he was like, I think, the main narrator of the story, but I just felt like, besides him crying all the time, to be honest, I just really didn't feel like I knew him very well. I guess he liked The Walking Dead, and I guess I liked the glimpses that we got into him. I just feel like they were too quick to say I love you. It was like, oh, it's not just her body that I love, it's everything about her. Like, we're so well suited for each other, and like, I get that she's academic or whatever, but I think I wanted more on-page representations of what they loved about each other rather than just them banging it out. It wasn't that this was even particularly smutty. I just feel like there was too much time spent with Tyler in his head, like thinking about all the things that could go wrong and like how he didn't want to get caught banging this chick. I wish there would have been more interactions between hero and heroine, them getting to know each other after he like got the confessions from Poppy, I guess. So I don't know. It's like, I liked this book. I don't love this book. I feel like it's like bordering 3 and 4 stars for me. Like, I think maybe if I hadn't read 2 other priest romances right before this one, I think this might have been more of a 4-star, but like in my heart and in my head, I'm just feeling like it's a 3-star read for me. And I know you probably weren't going into this video thinking like, oh, you know, 3 3-star reads, or like, what did I even give Hot Under His Collar? Did I give it 3 stars? It is a 3-star. All of these were just kind of like middle of the road. I think that there's definitely a priest romance out there for me. I just don't know if any of these were really it. But I had a good time with it either way. I like to kind of dip my toes into the depravity. I will say, I think in terms of enjoyment, I think I liked Lessons in Sin the most. It was absolutely unhinged, but I think that's what made it so exciting. It's like, if you're gonna go there, I feel like go all the way. Like I said, I had a fun time doing this, even if I didn't find like my perfect priest romance, but like, was I really looking for my perfect priest romance? I think I was just looking for a good time. I had a good time, and that's all that really matters. Hopefully my recommendations like on what kind of book you should pick up, or like what priest romance you should pick up based on your predilections, helped. I know that there's like a Sarah Kate one out there that's also a priest romance. Maybe I'll pick that one up in the future and see if that one measures up, but I think for now I'm good. And I think I'm definitely out of my Fleabag era. So thanks so much for watching. I love you all so much. I have a really exciting video coming on Sunday where I read my subscribers' favorite books, so stay tuned for that. But I will see you next time.